Psychology of toxic people is more than bad behavior. It's a battlefield of the mind. Behind every insult, manipulation, or outburst lies a shadow they refuse to face, projecting their darkest fears onto you. Their fragile ego demands control. Their lies and games are shields for their deepest vulnerabilities. Unhealed trauma drives patterns of hostility and chaos, repeating pain they never resolved. True connection terrifies them, so they sabotage relationships to protect the fragile self they hide behind. And the most shocking part, their negativity spreads like a virus, infecting everyone around them, twisting emotions and reality itself. If you can recognize these 6 hidden forces, the shadow projection, fragile ego, emotional manipulation, trauma patterns, fear of intimacy, and psychic contagion, you gain the power to defend your mind and reclaim your peace. If you know these all hidden secrets of this psychology, watch this video till the end, because understanding them is not just knowledge, it's liberation. Psychology of toxic people becomes most disturbing when we explore the concept of shadow projection, a process far darker than it first appears. Imagine a person carrying a hidden vault of insecurities, shame, and rejected traits, qualities they cannot bear to see in themselves. Instead of confronting this buried chaos, they hurl it outward, turning the people around them into mirrors reflecting their unhealed wounds. The shocking part is this: the traits they attack most violently in others are often the very ones secretly consuming them from within. A toxic person doesn't just dislike you, they dislike the part of themselves they think they see in you. Their accusations become confessions, their insults become revelations, and their anger exposes the very wounds they deny exist. When they call someone selfish, it is their own unmet hunger speaking. When they paint someone as dishonest, it is their own fractured truth screaming for escape. This projection doesn't just distort reality, it rewrites it, twisting relationships into psychological battlegrounds, where the innocent become scapegoats for another's inner war. And the victim often begins to question themselves, unaware they are carrying emotions that were never theirs to begin with. Psychology of toxic people becomes chillingly clear when we examine the fragility of their ego. Unlike a confident mind, theirs is a fragile construct, a house of cards trembling at the slightest hint of criticism or challenge. Every word spoken, every glance, every perceived slight is interpreted as a threat to their self-image, and they respond not with reflection, but with domination, manipulation, or aggression. What shocks is that beneath the mask of arrogance, superiority, or control lies a terror of insignificance, a fear that they are not enough. They may belittle you, gaslight you, or emotionally lash out. But the real battle is not with you. It is a desperate struggle to protect a self they cannot fully accept. They crave validation not as a desire for connection, but as a life support system to hold their fragile ego together. Even compliments can feel like danger if they suspect insincerity, and any success of others becomes a personal threat. The most horrifying part is that they often drag everyone around them into this psychological war, creating chaos to keep the focus away from their own inner emptiness, leaving others confused, drained, and questioning their own reality, while the toxic mind quietly guards its brittle fortress of self. Psychology of toxic people becomes terrifyingly apparent when we uncover their mastery of emotional manipulation. What seems like casual charm, concern, or reasoned argument is often a meticulously constructed trap designed to control, confuse, and dominate. The shocking truth is that toxic individuals weaponize human emotion itself. They twist guilt, shame, and fear into tools of compliance, making you doubt your own perceptions, morality, and memory. Gaslighting, passive aggression, silent treatments, or feigned innocence are not accidents. They are strategies born from an inner battlefield where vulnerability is a threat. Behind the manipulative behavior lies a profound fear, the fear of confronting their own fragility and unhealed wounds. They cannot allow themselves to be seen as imperfect, because to be seen is to be exposed, and exposure feels like annihilation. Every lie, exaggeration, or emotional outburst is a shield, a way to bend reality to avoid facing the self they despise. The most shocking part is how subtly this spreads. The victim slowly begins to internalize the manipulation, questioning their sanity, their worth, and their instincts, while the toxic individual remains unscathed, protected by the very web of deceit they have spun, leaving a trail of psychological chaos in their wake. Psychology of toxic people becomes disturbingly vivid when we examine the imprint of unintegrated trauma on their behavior. Many carry wounds so deep, so unhealed, that their psyche has built entire defense mechanisms around them, mechanisms that manifest as hostility, control, or withdrawal in adulthood. What shocks is that these patterns are not random. They are echoes of past suffering, repeated unconsciously to recreate a world they once could not survive. A toxic person may lash out in anger, not because you provoked them, but because somewhere in their history, pain demanded they build walls of aggression to protect themselves. They may manipulate or dominate, unconsciously seeking the sense of control they lacked as children. The terrifying part is how these unprocessed traumas infect their relationships, friends, family or partners, become mirrors and victims of wounds that are decades old, never meant to be carried by anyone else. They often cannot see this, believing their behavior is justified, normal, or necessary. What we witness as toxicity is, in truth, a mind trapped in unresolved cycles, endlessly replaying the old hurt, creating a world around them where pain is inevitable, connection is unsafe, and healing remains out of reach, leaving everyone nearby caught in the gravity of their unhealed past. Psychology of toxic people becomes unsettling when we confront their fear of authentic connection. What appears as arrogance, distance, or cruelty is often a desperate defense against intimacy, because true closeness threatens the carefully constructed false self they present to the world. The shocking reality is that beneath every act of sabotage, withdrawal, or hostility lies a terrified mind, terrified of being truly seen, known, and judged. They may push you away, criticize you, or manipulate situations, not to harm you, but to prevent the exposure of the insecurities they cannot bear. Vulnerability feels like annihilation, and so they attack or distance themselves before anyone else can. Every relationship becomes a minefield. If you get too close, you awaken the parts of them they have buried, the parts that scream imperfection, inadequacy, or fear. The more genuine the connection, the more they feel compelled to distort it, to deflect, or to dominate, because love requires honesty, and honesty threatens the fragile persona they rely on for survival. The terrifying part is how this self-preservation destroys not only their life, but also the lives of those who care for them, leaving intimacy contaminated by fear, distrust, and emotional turbulence, as the very thing they desire most becomes the source of their greatest terror. Psychology of toxic people becomes alarmingly clear when we recognize how their negativity spreads like a contagion. It is not confined to their own mind. It seeps into every interaction, subtly infecting the thoughts, emotions, and even decisions of those around them. What shocks is how effortlessly they turn ordinary environments into psychological battlefields, offices, homes, friend groups, where tension, fear, and doubt flourish. Their moods, criticisms, and manipulations act like invisible toxins, altering the emotional climate without anyone realizing it until the damage has been done. Friends start second-guessing themselves, colleagues grow anxious, and loved ones feel drained and powerless, all while the toxic individual remains seemingly unaffected, shielded by their own inner defenses. This contagion is so insidious because it hijacks empathy. People naturally absorb the emotions of others, and a toxic mind exploits that, turning compassion into a vulnerability. The most frightening aspect is that victims often do not see the origin of their distress. They blame themselves, their environment, or random misfortune, while the real source is the relentless psychological pull of the toxic person. Boundaries become essential, yet breaking free is harder than imagined, because the human mind resists the withdrawal of attention, care, and connection from someone it is subconsciously aligned with, even when that alignment brings pain. In understanding the psychology of toxic people, we uncover not only the darkness in others, but also the strength and clarity within ourselves. Recognizing shadow projection, fragile egos, Emotional manipulation, unhealed trauma, fear of intimacy, and the contagious nature of negativity allows us to protect our minds, set boundaries, and navigate life with wisdom. Knowledge is the first step toward freedom, and awareness is the shield against being pulled into chaos that is not ours to carry. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to share it with others who need to see it, and subscribe to my channel for more deep dives into the fascinating world of psychology. Your mind is your greatest power. Let's explore it together.